to another Spooky Sunday video.
I've been filming for a long time today. I have filmed a lot of videos today and I'm losing my mind. But today's video is true things that are scary that happened on Friday the 13th. That is not the name of the article, which I will have in the description if you want to go and check it out. That was just what I named it in my notes. The actual name is The Most Terrible and Mysterious Things That Have Happened on Friday the 13th. And it has a little reading thing about Friday the 13th, so I will read that for you and then we will get into some scary stories about scary stuff that have happened on Friday the 13th. Are you one of those people that refuse to leave the house on Friday the 13th? If you are, let me know in the comments down below. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like something really bad's gonna happen today if I go out. And then sometimes I forget that it's even Friday the 13th and I just go out and nothing bad happens. But obviously sometimes scary stuff does happen. That's why we have this video today. So without further ado, let me get into today's video and I hope you all like it. Okay, so it says, everyone knows Friday the 13th as an unlucky day. The number 13 itself is tied deeply to superstitious beliefs that bring bad fortune and even death. So it's no wonder that there are plenty of horrible things that have happened on Friday the 13th. There are enough creepy Friday the 13th stories to make one paranoid about a particular day every time it comes up on the calendar. In fact, some are so superstitious about it, they'll do anything they can to avoid leaving the house. No one knows the exact origin of the unlucky Friday the 13th, but there are plenty of theories. It could have been the day that Jesus had his last supper, or it could have been connected to the Knights Templar. Whatever the cause may be, history is replete with tragedies and crimes committed on Friday the 13th. Could it really be cursed? Okay, so the first story is called The Murder of Kitty Genevieve. I think that's how you say the name. I'm sorry if I've got it wrong, but it says on Friday, March 13th, 1964, Kitty Genevieve was stabbed to death outside her apartment in Queens, New York. At the time, it was reported that nearly 40 people in the neighborhood witnessed or heard Genevieve's murder, but no one tried to help or call the police. Since then, that number has been refuted, though there's no question there was a lack of intervention. Winston Moseley was arrested for the unrelated crime 6 days after Genevieve's murder, to which he confessed while in custody. Moseley stated that his only motive for killing Genevieve was his desire to kill a woman. He was sentenced to life in prison for Genevieve's murder, dying in March 2016 after serving 52 years in prison. I feel like I hear enough now that people won't get involved if they think someone's been murdered or raped. So apparently you should scream fire, there's a fire, because people are more likely to intervene if they think there's a fire, which is crazy. I think that's one of the most scariest things for me is like, what if something happens and everyone can see but people don't get involved because in their mind they think, oh, someone else will call the police, someone else will get involved, someone else will help them. That's the mindset people have, which is what I've learned either through my criminology course or just online, is that people will always think that someone else will do something and no one does something, which is crazy to me. I don't know, I think that's a bit insane that like 40 people heard what was going on and no one did anything. That is insane. The next one says Black Friday fires. The Black Friday fires began on Friday, January 13th, 1939 in Victoria, Australia, and the result was devastating. Almost 5 million acres of land were destroyed and 71 people lost their lives. Thousands of homes and businesses burned down as well. The fires were due to an unnaturally dry summer combined with a drought that lasted for years. Many small blazes had sprouted before the Black Friday fires. They were mostly ignored because people believed they would eventually die down. Instead, high winds caused the fires to fan out and eventually join together, resulting in the now infamous Black Friday disaster. So again, another thing where people haven't got involved. I don't know what it's like because I don't live in a country where there's like natural fires, but maybe if anybody lives in Australia, would it have been less of a disaster if people have intervened quicker, like started putting fires out quicker, or would it have still happened regardless? Let me know in the comments and educate me because I would love to know. That's just where my brain went, was maybe if they put the fires out sooner they wouldn't be as big. But again, Friday the 13th, another disaster on Friday the 13th. Spooky. The next one says the Buckingham Palace bombing. Buckingham Palace bombing? I have not heard of this. Maybe if I read it I will have heard of it, but right now I don't even know that this was a thing. But it says the bombing of Buckingham Palace is proof that even if you decide to stay home on Friday the 13th, lousy things can still happen. On September the 13th, 1940, King George the Fifth I'm very bad with, is it Roman numerals? I'm very bad with them. It's a V and a 1. Is that the 5th or is that the 6th? Let me know. I'm stupid. Anyway, it's King George and Queen Elizabeth. And it says they were at the palace enjoying their afternoon tea when German bombs went off in their courtyard. Though the room they were occupying was right next to the courtyard, the couple was not harmed. However, one guest in the palace died and several more were injured. King George the 5th or 6th, I don't know which one, refused to leave the palace and moved to a safer place, and his wife and children stuck it out with him. So 1940, the war was still going on then, wasn't it? Let me see, when did World War II end? I feel like I know this date, but I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, I knew it was 1945, but I didn't want to like get it wrong and then everybody in the comments rip me for it, because I know you would have. So the war was still going on then, so they somehow got to Buckingham Palace. I know now that the royal family don't really live in Buckingham Palace. They live in other places, but like people still think that Buckingham Palace is the main place, so when people come to visit, they'll go see Buckingham Palace. Crazy that I didn't even know that. I've done history in secondary school, obviously primary school. I also did history in college so that I could do criminology, because you had to learn about history for criminology. I had to learn psychology, sociology, history and literature to get into university to do criminology, and I still never learned about that. And we did stuff about the war. Never even knew about that. Also watched The Crown. I know it's The Crown and it's not the most historical thing, but there was nothing in there about it either. That's so weird. Let me know if you've ever heard of that before. Okay, this next one says the death of Tupac Shakur. Friday the 13th has claimed many victims, but Tupac Shakur was a shocking one. Shakur was a successful rapper, actor and record producer. On September 7th, 1996, Shakur, just 25 years old at the time, was in Las Vegas on his way to a club when an unknown assailant in a white Cadillac pulled up beside him at a stoplight and started shooting. Shakur was shot 4 times and in critical condition for 6 days. On Friday the 13th, he died of internal bleeding from his injuries. There are many theories about Shakur's death, but none have been confirmed. I had no idea that he died on Friday the 13th. I don't know too much about his story and his death, but I know my brother really loves Tupac, so he would probably know way more than me. But I know the ins and outs about it, but I had no idea that it was Friday the 13th. That is insane. Okay, the next one says the San Diego S&M killing. A lot of these are about murders. A lot of murders have happened on the Friday the 13th. This one says Brittany Kilgore was only 22 when her life ended, and it happened on a fateful Friday the 13th. Kilgore had recently divorced her husband and she was looking for someone to help her move back to her hometown. Kilgore met Luis Ray Perez and asked if he could assist her. He told her if she partied with him that night, he would have 5 men available to help her move. Kilgore met up with Perez that night, but was never heard from again. Days later, police found her unclothed corpse in a ditch. As it turns out, Perez lived with his pregnant wife and another woman, and they were involved in the S&M lifestyle. His girlfriend, Dorothy Margolino, referred herself as Perez's mistress. The other woman, Jessica Lopez, was the couple's slave. In their home, a sex dungeon was set up, complete with handcuffs and other toys. Evidence pointed to Kilgore being an unwilling participant in the group's sadomasochistic sexual proclivities, and that on that night of April the 13th, 2012, they strangled her to death and dumped her body. Perez, Margolino and Lopez were all found guilty of murder, kidnapping, torture and sexual battery. All 3 received life without parole. What the fuck? This poor girl literally just wanted some help to move her shit. She already went out of her way to go party with this dumbass, right? Partying with him because that's what he wants, which is so weird. Like, why can't you just say, yeah, I will help you move? Why does someone have to party with you first? That's so weird to me. Obviously it's weird because like he's a fucking murderer and that was his intentions, but I'm so sorry that that happened to her. I cannot even begin to imagine how terrifying that would have been, especially with 2 women there. You tend to trust women and think that they'll help you, and obviously they were just fucking weirdos as well. She's only 22 as well. That's actually so sad. Okay, we will end it on this story, and it says the plane crash that led to cannibalism. I feel like I've watched a movie on this, but I'm going to read the story first in case it's not the same one. So let's get into it. Many people are terrified to fly on Friday the 13th, and probably for a good reason. The Andes flight disaster is one of the most horrific plane crashes in history, and it happened on Friday, October the 13th, 1972. A plane carrying 45 passengers, including a Union rugby team, crashed in the Andes Mountains. Initially, 12 people died from the crash. The next day, 5 additional passengers died, and 1 more 8 days later. The group did not have resources for the extreme weather, nor did they have much food. They did have a ratio on which they heard that the search and rescue team looking for them had given up. Very quickly, the group ate the minimal food they had left. They tried looking for vegetation or animals but found none. Surviving passengers felt they had no choice but to feed on the bodies of the deceased passengers to survive. This task proved difficult not only for the most obvious reason, but because the dead were mostly friends and family members of the survivors. Over the next few months, several more survivors died, including 8 who were taken out by an avalanche. Approximately 2 months after the plane crash, a pair of survivors went hiking in search of rescue. They were eventually found and went back to save the rest of the group. I've watched this movie. I have no idea what it's called now. If any of you have watched this movie as well, please comment the name of it in the comments, because I literally for the life of me cannot remember the name of it. But I've watched this movie and it's very, very good, and it's crazy that it's a true story. I don't know what I would do in that position. Obviously it's easy for me to sit here right now and be like, never, would never do that, would rather just die with everyone else than do that. But when you're in that position and you have the mindset of survival, because at the end of the day we are animals, as much as we're smart and we are humans, we are still animals, so we still have that mindset of survival. I don't know what I would do in that situation, so I'm not going to judge them for what they did. But it's a really good movie and I definitely recommend you watch it. But I'm gonna end today's video here. I hope you all liked it. If you did, please remember to smash a massive thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you all soon. Peace.